Okay, here we go. Now we're live. Hello, I'm Kelly Garthwaite, and I am here with my friends Adam and Zach. Adam and I have been having these regular conversations. We're calling them community conversations. And every once in a while, we'll invite a friend or guest to be on the show to talk about their project that they're working on and how it relates back to community, honest conversations, living a more happy life, fulfilling life, whatever that looks like. And so today we have Zach Ansel from When We Die Talks, a podcast you started a year. You actually year anniversary was
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow will be today's 364. So yeah.
Yes. Okay, that's amazing. And then my birthday is actually the day after. So your podcast and I
nice.
almost share a birthday. So you and I met because of LinkedIn, and you booked a call with me when I was talking to photographers because my previous experience in the photography world. And you and I chatted about you were having like a existential crisis, but you wanted to
constantly having an existential crisis.
That's the podcast.
Oh, yeah. But you were having kind of like a reevaluation moment of, do I want to stay in photography? This isn't really bringing me joy anymore. And that was the point. I don't know. Had you already started the podcast at that point? I think you had.
Yeah, I think it was probably pretty close because I think it was towards the end of last year when we first chatted.
Okay.
If I hadn't started it, I had already, it was in the works, because I think I did my first interview probably in May. So I kind of was working through the summer, kind of getting things prepped to go. So if it wasn't out yet, it was very soon. Soon to happen.
I know that you had already ideated it. I'm just not sure if there are any episodes out.
The project existed, because I had the voicemail up and running, but the podcast is probably fairly close to that time.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I love the concept. You and I had two conversations. First, you changed your whole trajectory. You were like, I'm doing for people know who is calling in. And then you switched to an anonymous format. So we had recorded an episode where I talked about my grandmother a lot, in the one where it wasn't anonymous. And then we ended up doing another one. And I actually really loved the fact that you changed your format to anonymous because I feel like it empowers people to be super honest and open without wondering whether or not someone's going to know who they are. Like maybe someone would pick out someone's voice, but the chances of that happening are pretty slim.
Yeah, totally.
And then you have your voicemail. I love the voicemail. Call in, just get something off your chest. Tell us what you think happens when you die. And I've listened to a handful of them. And there was one where someone started crying while they were talking.
Yeah.
They just had this release while they were leaving the voicemail. And it's just super powerful. And I love this pivot that you've done. And I just think that it really, really allows people to talk about the more difficult conversations. And I think that's, meeting on LinkedIn, it's so performative.
Right back, guys. This is super unconventional, but at my door. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. No, so meeting on LinkedIn, you and I both know it's so performative on there. And the world right now is craving real conversations and honesty and openness. And so I don't know, can you talk a little bit about some of the experiences that you've had and maybe some pivotal moments since you started the podcast that you feel you're really making an impact maybe you didn't expect?
Yeah. Well, I think I can maybe start with kind of around when we met because I was at a place where I had been doing photography for 15, 16 years professionally. And I was just kind of done and over it. And I was working on this project on the side. I was kind of going through a midlife crisis, dealing with a lot of stuff in my life that wasn't super ideal last year. And so, we chatted and I think I left the call being like, okay, sweet. I have this idea. I'm just going to start a photography business that is fully catered towards medium clients. I'm going to stop going after the big clients or whatever. And then I think I even started building the website and all this stuff. And then I think 2 weeks later, I sent you an email. It's I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done with like I don't want to do photography. I'm gonna like figure something else out. And so it's funny that like I don't know, I don't think we necessarily egged each other on, but I feel like we've kind of been like in tandem of like discovering kind of what we really want. Um and so yeah, so I left photography and I kind of fully put myself into this project. And I guess maybe it might be helpful to explain a little bit like more specifically what it is.
Yeah.
So the project in a whole and is called When We Die Talks. And so it started, I think like the first ideas started probably about 3 years ago. And that's kind of when I started having these like existential attacks and panic attack, whatever it was. And just kind of this fear around death. And so I decided to do something about it. I set up the voicemail line, and that was just a way that people could call, share what they think happens when we die. And I was like, this is gonna be a great way for me to like kind of explore my own thoughts and beliefs. And it was and is amazing. But I don't know if it was super quick, but realized that one of the things that was missing is it was very one directional, right? Like I'm getting these messages and then I'm sharing them on social and stuff, but there's not um this conversation, this like me kind of getting to explore more. I'm just kind of like hearing. And uh that's when I met with she's on here. She has an amazing newsletter. I don't know the specific terms on here. Um but
The letter, yeah.
called Hello Mortal. Mara, and so I chatted with her. She's amazing and she was like, you should turn this into a podcast.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then my initial thought is, doesn't everybody have a podcast? Is that really what I want to do? Um, but then I kind of realized that it's like, well, that'll allow me to have these conversations with people and kind of hopefully go deeper into it. And so that started up almost a year ago. And the format, like you kind of mentioned, was just interview style. I was talking to friends and then they introduced me to people and then I reached out to some people. Um, and then yeah, I got to a point. I think the key moment, at least for the podcast, it feels like, was when I decided to switch to anonymous. And that was kind of just by a mistake where I didn't have an interview lined up for like the next coming episode. And I was like, shit, gotta do something. And so I just kind of like threw out like a little message on social being like, does anybody just want to hop on the phone and chat about death? And I think I had like 6 people immediately respond. And so I chatted with them and put out that episode and it got a lot of traction. Still did a couple interviews and then finally decided, hey, like I'm just going to go fully anonymous. Kind of like you were saying, I didn't really think about that some people might not want to have their name attached to what they were saying. Um, and yeah, there have been, I mean, I think there's 2 episodes that I always kind of say like, and I hate to say that they're favorites because it's, I don't want to make anybody else feel bad, but so episode 8 is with a guy named Don. So that was before it was anonymous, and he got diagnosed with ALS.
Mm.
And the first time that we met, he's like, "I'm going to die within a year." Although it's been more than a year now, and he's still alive, and I see him probably every once or 2 months. But he just had some like he's definitely like a lifelong scholar and just has all this incredible information. But the one anonymous call, it was the 24th episode. Um, and it just kind of goes to show that like I really have very little information going into these calls. I'm getting a little bit more now where I'm like, yeah, maybe I should get an email so like you get a confirmation email when you book, your time slot or whatever. But
I
I
would
really
say,
don't know.
I would say that because when I booked with you, I was like, oh, I have to put this in my calendar. What?
I've
Yes.
had a couple of people be like, wait, when did I book for it? I'm like, oh yeah, I should fix that.
A little too anonymous.
Yeah. And yeah, so but outside of that, and I am starting to like the application now has like just a little snippet because I am realizing I can only do so many of the calls, and I have a list of probably 60 or 70 people that wanna do it.
Wow.
And it's like, I definitely wanna bring the best stories and stuff like that, so I'm having people, give a little bit, but usually very, very little information. And this one I had done a little, like if you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna do guitar lessons," and you put up those flyers with, like, the little pull tags.
Yeah.
I did one of those for the podcast and just put them up on a popular street in Portland, and this person found one, and we get on the phone and we're talking, and basically tells me that him and his wife were in a car accident and his wife died. And it was just like, whoa. And it happened 2 years ago. And it was just like, I can't believe we're having, this conversation, that you were willing to jump on a phone with a complete stranger and have this talk. And it was heartbreaking, but it was also beautiful. And I think it's having these deep conversations. I don't necessarily think that everybody needs to talk about death if they don't want to. I do think we need to talk about death more.
Yeah.
But I think just in general, having deeper conversations with people, having intellectual conversations with people. One thing that I found so, uh, I don't know, n- uninteresting, whatever it is about myself was when I'd be with friends and be like, oh, yeah, I saw this meme or I saw this thing on Instagram. And I was like, I feel like that is one of the worst ways to start like a conversation or like carry a conversation. It just feels like very surface level. I am very introverted. Um, People always tell me, "No, you're not introverted." And I'm like, "Well, I think I know myself a little bit better than you." But I think people when you say you're an introvert, people think you're socially awkward and can't carry a conversation. I'm like, I can. I just don't want to talk about the weather. I don't want to talk about what we do for work. I want to talk about interesting stuff. And I think with the way the world is right now, there's a lot.
Yeah.
I
I
think you can
think
just say it's a lot.
this is
And
where
having
the
deep
community,
conversations. Yeah.
right? This is where the community piece comes in because those deep conversations are essential to building a strong community. I'm
Yeah.
with you. We don't talk about death enough. I have a lot of thoughts on that. So I'm glad that you're already scratching the surface on where are there gaps. And I think that's what Kelly and I have been really exploring in our community conversation. Where are there gaps that we can fill with more meaningful expression, experience, connection? And so I love that you found a really unique way to fill a gap.
Yeah. It's a really hard gap to fill. Um, I feel like creating anything in the death space has to be two, three, four times harder. Because you just have to like get people to even be willing to come to the door. And
Sure.
then it's like, so it's like you have to almost like pitch them twice. It's like, okay, come over here. It's okay. It's okay. And then once they're there, be like, okay, now we're gonna talk about this. And so you can't, you like, you can't scare them away, but it's tricky. But um, it was definitely something that I needed to do to deal with my own fears and anxieties around death. I was like, I can't live the rest of my life just kind of being afraid and not tackling this.
It's
Sure.
it's interesting too because depending on where you are in the world, the approach to death is so very different too. In Western
Yeah,
societies, we are programmed to be very fearful of it. But in other societies, it's more of a matter of fact thing where it's like, yeah, you're born, you live, and then you're going to die.
yeah,
Oh, why not just talk about it? That's kind of more what death has been like in my experience. Like my dad's like that. My grandmother was like that. My grandma,
yeah,
my grandmother wrote that book about how to plan your own funeral. So it's like,
totally.
yeah,
Yeah, I just had a Canadian on the show, which still very similar. And then I have sounded like such an idiot talking to this person. I'm doing a call with someone from Australia tomorrow.
okay.
And the whole time zone thing. Like I was a math major. Like I'm a math person and somehow have messed up the conversion like 10 times. And like when I finally was like, okay, we'll do it Wednesday morning for me, Thursday night for you. Because I kept on being like, they're a day ahead. They're a day
Global
ahead. And then
communities.
when I thought about it, I'm like, that's 39 hours difference.
Yeah.
That is not 50, it's not that far. And
Yeah.
so, but I am hoping this upcoming year I get, I've started to kind of push ads internationally to hopefully get people who are willing outside of the United States to chat, because I want to bring those voices in.
That's cool.
And I think that is, there's a unifying thing of we all die. It's going to happen to all of us. And so it feels like a great equalizer to just be like, it kind of doesn't matter like what your political beliefs are, where you grew up, what so many things, like I feel like it breaks that down, and that definitely helps with the anonymity too.
Yep.
Just no clue anything about these people besides their voice, which makes it so interesting.
Yeah. I wonder if you have people that are very curious about death. We talked about death being a hard topic to approach, and you have to kind of talk people into it. Are there people that are very drawn to it because maybe it's taboo or it's not as well known?
I think most of the people that have been on the show are interested in death, and have been exploring it. The person, I don't know, it's also hard to keep track of. I think I think tomorrow's the 30th anonymous caller that I've done.
Wow.
Um, and so I don't know if it was 27, 28, 29, but one of them was very much like me. That was, I'm very afraid of death.
Mm.
This popped up, and I felt like it was something that I should do to kind of like explore how I feel about it. But by and large, it's mostly people that are comfortable, which is kind of great. But I'm also like, hey, I want to find the people that are fearful like me. Because there's people like, oh yeah, I know I'm gonna die, and like I'm gonna be nothing, and that's okay. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. How can you just be okay with it? So it's interesting, but I love that it's you. I love that I never know what I'm getting into when I dial the number. Except Kelly when we did ours. I mean, I knew
Those
it.
are the only that was the only one though. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I did the one that's coming out next week. Um, I know her through a class that I just took.
Okay.
She was a guest speaker, and she had a near death experience, and so I reached out to
Mm.
her, and I was like,
Can't wait.
I was like, would you be? I think she actually even posed it to me. She was like, I'd love to be on your show, and I'd be like, I would love to do it. So I know her through her story that she told in class, but outside of that, don't really know her that well. Um, and so that one is really interesting. So there is still a mix of like, I have friends that, want to do the show still. And so trying to mix in some of that, but also trying to keep it anonymous and not bring too much of, I kind of like it being off the cuff, which is really weird for a very type A person. Because with those early interviews, like one of the people I interviewed, like she had written a book. And so I was like, okay, I need to read the book before. And then I'm going to have all these questions, which was fun and exciting, but it also felt very like regimented. Now it's kind of like I have my notepad here that I'm like scribbling stuff down. It's like, what did they just say? Come back to this question. So it feels like a little bit of chaos, in a great way.
Sure. Alex, I'm curious if it's okay to ask this. Have you experienced a close loved one dying yet in your life?
I the um the only people that I've lost are my grandparents. Um and so I haven't had that. And I think that is a little bit of the challenge is I haven't dealt with it. And so it sounds so silly, but the one that kind of also brought the project on is I have an 18-year-old dog that I've had since he was a puppy. I mean, I got him at 19, so we're getting very close. I mean, if he makes it another year, I'll have had him for half my life.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
don't know if he's gonna make it another year,
Me too.
but it's like I know that's gonna wreck me.
Yep.
Um, so
Yeah. Yeah. I ask because I experienced my first close loss this year, and
Yeah.
I spent a hot minute being very bitter about the fact that no one had prepared me. Like
Mm.
we don't have a lot
Yeah.
of death systems, we don't talk about it. And then I kind of seesaw to the other side where I realized like I don't think there's a way to prepare for this. Like I think this is a fully experiential thing, and it's almost like a bomb goes off in your life because it's somebody that had all these intermingling aspects with your life and who had their own life of their own and friends and histories and car insurance obligations, like things
Totally.
big and small that you just don't even realize, and it just all gets blown up, and it's jarring. Like it's a
Yeah.
very visceral experience. And so I imagine that your guests probably touch on that from time to time.
Totally. Totally. And I have a friend that we've been trying to get him on the show for a while. And he lost his dad, man, I think when he was probably like 20, 21, somewhere
Mm,
around there.
that's rough.
And he has kind of shared with me that he's similarly kind of like freaked out by death. Um, which this sounds horrible, but like that gave me some hope in the sense of like, and I think it's just this is it's a crazy topic. It is, the biggest unknown. Um, but everyone that I talked to, it was almost like, oh yeah, like I used to be afraid of death, or like like all these kind of stories. And then this person died in my life and things changed. And
Mm.
it's just like, okay, so basically are you telling me that what has to happen is someone needs to die for me to like get on the other side of this? But I think my buddy, kind of like showed me it's like, yeah, it's not necessarily going to happen that way. You could you could go through a loss and still have these feelings, or there's it's so complex. Um, but definitely a lot of them have been about it. Either gets very very into theoretical and like really just staying with the question of what do you think happens when we die, but a lot of people kind of and some of them it's, yeah, I have a 30-second answer for that. And then it's like, I'll ask them something like, well, yeah, so when I was 5, my mom died. And it's like, okay. And so then it just, that kind of, it goes that way.
Sure.
But yeah, a lot of it is, you know, I think those are the people that are interested in talking about death, are the people who have experienced it, because they're, trying to find spaces where they can talk about it. I mean, that's the thing I think I've learned from a lot of people, where maybe not the week after people necessarily want to, be asked, well, tell me about this person or whatever. But
Sure.
a couple years out, and again, there's no given timeline, but a lot of these people want to talk about this
Mhm.
person that's gone. No, nobody's asking them about it. And so in some ways,
Mhm.
I feel like I'm giving them a platform. And this wasn't necessarily like, oh yeah, I'm going to give people a platform to talk about it. But I think it gives people space to chat about those things where they don't have people that want to.
Totally. Yeah, my experience with death definitely ushered in a totally different perspective and spiritual awakening. And I had lots of people recommended resources for me, and I went down the rabbit hole to some degree. And so I have a more fully formed view of what I think about what happens after we die. And it's brought me personal comfort, the way
Yeah,
that I went down that rabbit hole. So I imagine that it's almost like an invitation from the universe to be like, you want to think about this some more?
totally,
This is your opportunity.
totally. Yeah,
I've I've heard so many examples of people losing someone who they're close to and then having a dream where that person comes to them, and the stories are all the same. It's all the people being like, at least in my experience, everyone who's told me that they saw a loved one has said, I'm fine. I'm not in pain. Everything's good here. Don't be afraid." It's been that kind of sentiment. And
yeah,
I can imagine, based on what you're saying, Zach, with people um saying that you like need to lose somebody to really get over that hump that you're talking about and not being afraid, that someone coming to you in a dream and telling you everything's fine, that would make me feel a lot more comforted, I think. So maybe that's part of the like a piece of the puzzle that someone's mentioning.
I'll start working on my dreams. I will say
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily really remember any of my dreams. And I think that's one of the things, like with the project, my background is didn't grow up religious. I grew up in suburbia, which I think is the perfect melting pot of American society and culture of like those ideals and stuff. And for a while it was, very, scientific fact, like very materialistic science. And so I think I'm very skeptical of a lot of things. And so as I say this, I'm like, yep, it could just be a pure coincidence. But I did have a conversation with someone early on who was like a dream specialist or like a dream therapist. And I swear, after that conversation, I remember my dreams almost every night now.
Oh.
I didn't really ever remember my dreams before. And it's not like, I mean, she definitely was like, okay, write them down. I haven't done any of the things that she told me to do in order to remember them. But I would say before it's maybe one day a week I'd remember. And now it's like 5 or 6 days a week.
Wow, she put a spin on you.
She did. She did.
Oh.
So maybe my grandpa will come visit me.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if I've said very nice things about him. He's been gone. I don't know if I want him to come haunt me.
Not everyone, not everyone leaves a great legacy. So
He was a great grandpa,
Yeah.
but he had his issues as a human, as a parent,
yeah,
as a man of that generation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I've heard
I
one
loved
other
him,
quote
but
that's applicable for folks like that, which is if people wanted me to speak warmly about them, they should have treated me warmly. So
yeah, I'm with that. I want to talk about the wind phone thing. So I love this project and this idea, and I felt like so much connection between you two when I saw you
yeah,
about it on LinkedIn, Adam, and then Zach, you sent me one that's in Joshua Tree, and
yeah,
so
they're all over the place.
yeah,
yeah, I love this because it's definitely nothing that I do ever is my original idea. Like I'm always stealing from
There's no
great.
original ideas anymore.
Yeah,
It
I'm
doesn't exist.
I'm an implementer of great
Yeah.
ideas. And so I had heard about the wind phone. I don't even know where. I just grokked it, like it entered the universal consciousness and then I knew about it. So when I had the idea for my project, I Googled it just so I understood a little bit more where it came from. And I guess it has origins in Japan.
Yeah.
And the idea is that it's an old timey phone, circa 1980, 1990. And it's set in nature somewhere that's a little bit more isolated so that you can feel comfortable. And you use it to make a one-way phone call to somebody who's passed that you love, that you want to share memories with, tell them how much you miss them, tell them what's going on in your life. Like I think many people experience when they have, especially an unexpected loss, they kind of want to pick up a phone and talk to that person just randomly because it's what they
Yeah.
used to do. And so you're kind of hit with that extra bonus hit of grief when you realize you can't and their number is no longer in service. So being able to go to experience and interact with a phone, hold it to your ear, say their name, say what's on your mind, it's just a really great therapeutic tool. And I saw interviews of people that were finding these phones and using them and would go back to them over and over again. There was one that's very memorable to me, a family that lost a child to an illness. And so that's a very hard thing to cope with. And this gave them a tool. It's not the only tool that you'll need to get through these types of situations, but it's a great creative way. So I created one. I went on eBay where you find all the things from times before. And I got a beautiful yellow phone because yellow is a very bright color. It's features of the happiness spot. And I I found a really beautiful enameled cigar box. We live in Florida, perfect place to find cigar boxes that fit the phone like it was made for it. And just called in my construction manager, aka Dad, and he supplied the tool and the screws and the supervision so I didn't hurt myself. And we made this thing. And I love that I can pull my dad in on things like this because he's suffering. I lost my sister, he lost his daughter, and he's not an emotional guy. God bless him. But he he'll say yes to any crazy thing I want to do. Like he's a ride or die
He's a
guy
good
on that
dad.
way, right? Like especially if it involves tools, he's like, yeah, fine. I love Home Depot. Let's go. uh, and so, but I could tell like he was a little skeptical. He didn't get it. But now that it's there and it's built and he's seen people use it, I think it means a lot to him. So,
Mm,
but giving these things to the community, we ourselves are getting some therapeutic release, and we're doing a WinPhone dedication on the 11th, which is a Saturday. And I'm doing an event just to build awareness that it's a resource. This is in your community. If you live nearby, please feel free to come and use it. I'm going to show and tell, like I'm going to be out there using it myself when I feel the urge to talk to my sister or my aunt who passed the year before. We all usually have somebody, like
yeah,
even a pet. If you've lost a pet, there's nothing that says you can't call your pet on the Win phone. uh,
totally.
so I'm very excited about spreading it because, like you said, Alex, they're everywhere. And so I already have a local food farm here that is interested in putting one on their property. They host dinners. We're going to be we're calling it a good grief dinner party.
Oh,
My
nice.
friend lost her parents within 45 days of each other this year. Like we've had some rough 2025s between the two of us. And we're going to co-facilitate this dinner where we're going to just open up the space for people to talk about their loss and their grief in a way that's healthy and more nourishing than, multi-purpose room at a church with old coffee, like we want people to feel true comfort in community. It's all family style food and seating. And then of course the Win phone will be there for people to cut off if they need to and go have that personal conversation. But because I am living this experience like everyone else and I don't know what's in store for me and I can't avoid things like death and grief and loss, I'm finding ways to turn it around. I wrote a Substack and published it the other day where I talk about grief being the other side of happiness. And the way that I've heard grief beautifully described is love with no place to go. And so we feel like how painful that is to not be able to give that love that we want to. So by reframing it as, okay, I need to just put this love somewhere and that's how I can
Yeah.
express my grief, has been so helpful.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I know one of the early guests, she was talking about building one out front of her house.
Yeah.
Um, just like, the lending libraries that, people have around.
Mm-hmm.
I've had this I kind of want to put one outside of my house. The added trickery of it though is I want it to go to like the voicemail line. And so not necessarily that like it would like pick it up and it has, like service or whatever, but have it like record messages so that then that could kind of play into the your original voicemail. Because yeah, when I originally heard about the whole idea, it was like, wow, this is beautiful. Um, but yeah, I'm so glad that you're doing that. That's super cool and a great way to like, yeah, create awareness around grief and like giving space for people to find an outlet for it.
Yeah. I don't know what your yard looks like. I'm on a corner, so I have a little bit to work with, but I
Yeah,
could see if you kind of like combine a confessional and a phone booth and
I
you
know.
maybe just give them like a place to upload a quick video, like
Yeah,
they can record
totally.
themselves talking and you're just creating a space. You're giving them that safe place to have the conversation or a voice memo, whatever that ends up looking like. But I love how creative that is because people do want to feel heard too. I mean, the
Yeah.
therapeutic aspect of a Win phone is saying things out loud often expels them. You're not holding them inside anymore. So there's a huge benefit to that. But people want to be heard. They want to feel seen. And I think that's a beautiful way to potentially do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do love the idea of someone else mentioned that to me. It was like getting like a confessional booth. I'm like, oh, that's the dream right there. Or maybe I can like rent out the local church for an afternoon
Why
or
not?
something.
Get
Um,
creative. I love it.
yeah.
You
Um,
could, yeah, like you could make it secular too. I don't know.
totally. Totally.
I just have something to confess.
Yeah.
Uh, are there any in the time that you've made the podcast? Have you noticed any kind of community related things in Portland, like something like maybe that you hadn't noticed before, as far as like, I don't know, like the wind phone is one thing, but maybe there's
Yeah.
something else where people come together and connect on their grief or something.
Yeah. I mean, I had known about the idea, but I had never been to a death cafe.
Mm.
Um, and so um I'm not gonna say that I'm a regular, but I'm trying to become a regular. Um, but that's an interesting way, it's I don't even know what this space it's not because I think there's a lot of like libraries across I mean, and it's something that's done around the world. But I think a lot, originally when I was looking, I was like, oh yeah, Portland Death Cafe. And I was like, okay, it's at the library, this and that. And then like I was like, okay, which library? And I start typing in the address and I'm like, this does not make any sense. Like it's not like Portland, Oregon is divided in quadrants. And
Yeah.
then I realized, oh yeah, this is Portland, Maine. This isn't Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Um, so that
Yeah.
one was like at a library, and I think a lot of them use, a library space. But they're just like at community centers and stuff like that up here, and it is just a space for people to go and talk about death with no agenda and no kind of like specific like religious you know background or whatever. And so that's been a thing. I mean, I definitely have people now reaching out anytime there's anything closely related to death happening in Portland. Where it's like, oh, did you know like
He's that
um what?
you're you're that deaf guy now.
Yeah, basically. I think there was like at like a skate rink, there was like a death night or something like that. And someone was like, are you going to this? And I'm like, didn't even know it existed. And it's in 3 hours. So no, I'm not. Um, but I think I'm definitely hearing more about stuff. I think I would like to figure out ways to create. I mean, the death cafes are really interesting. Um, I love them, but I also see how it's like it is a little intimidating to be like, oh, I'm going to this space, and you walk in, and it like, not that it like, oh, it smells like death, or like anything like that, but it just kind of has this like aura of this kind of like intensity. I feel like anytime I walk in. Um, And it's the conversations are never like that. The people are always very um amazing, but it definitely just feels a little I don't know, it feels like you're jumping into the deep end for some reason, even though I don't feel like it is at all. Um I don't know what about and probably to other people
Yeah.
they don't have that same feeling, but it definitely has that like I don't know, it just has an interesting vibe to it. So I would love to find ways to like make it a little bit more easy and approachable. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people just don't even know that they exist.
Yeah, that so death cafes are our inspiration for the good grief dinner party. Like
Nice.
it's our like a next step up because, like you said, you don't know necessarily what to expect with the death cafe, and it's not all of them are created equal. Some have really great
Yeah.
facilitators, some of them don't. You don't know what energy people are bringing, and so we wanted to like be a little bit more intentional about the energy that we're bringing in. So food is nourishing, and it is it's in a nature oriented space, and it's outdoors and it's designed with that in mind. And I'm really excited because we're doing our first one ever, and my brain's been really going to town on how I want to make it really special for people. I've been reading a book called The Wild Edge of Sorrow, which
Yeah.
addresses not just personal grief and individual grief, but the grief that we could feel about, ecosystems dying and the world being crazy and like we're
Yeah.
all
Collective
internalizing this
grief.
with nowhere collective grief, right? And there was a wonderful metaphor about how grief can be very much, first of all, you can't address it intellectually. It's a very emotional visceral thing. And so you almost have to be in an altered state to really experience grief. And they gave this analogy of like a Midwest storm that just rages, just flows in, rages, and then all of a sudden breaks,
Yeah.
and then the air is fresh and the sky
Yeah.
is clear, and then there's like this huge relief and renewal feeling. And that made me think about this exercise that my aunt told me about. She used to facilitate for outdoor education, and it's you have enough people, you have folks make different sounds that end up sounding like a storm. So you rub your hands together, you snap, you clap, you know, stomp your feet, and you get people to do these in iterations, and it sounds like a big storm. So
Mm.
I'm really excited to. I think we're trying to target 45 people to
Oh,
come to
that's
this
awesome.
dinner. And I want people to feel like that relief of the storm when we crescendo and then it's silent. And I think that is something that will stick with people that
Yeah.
they can equate to, oh, I need to feel the storm. It's okay to feel the storm. So I think a
Yeah.
lot of times we push it away and we go and we run for shelter. You have to feel the storm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me think of well, the I think it's Pema Chodron, When Things Fall Apart. I mean, that's basically what that whole book is about, is like don't run away from it.
You have a
Um and I went and saw some monks speak in town, and I remember they were talking about the people that like the linemen that like put up the telephone poles and stuff like that. And they were talking about if something happens and one of those poles starts to fall, what you're told to do is actually to run towards the pole, not run away
mm,
from it. Because if you run towards it, then you can actually like know where it's going.
Yeah.
But if you're running away from it, you're completely blind to it.
yeah.
And so those are things that, you know, I didn't necessarily experience death last year, but I did go through kind of a bunch of loss in other ways. And so, like, kind of going through that grief, it was like, okay, like, square up, like, face this. So yeah, I love that you're doing that dinner. Um, I think he was up in Seattle. He started something called Death Over Dinner, and he has a
Mm,
book about it. So that's one on my list, and that's something that I'd love to do up here.
yeah.
Maybe not quite as big, um, but like do some like dinners of like 8 to 10 people, and um, again, another plug for Hello Mortal. She has this really cool thing called Death Archetypes, and it's
Mm.
basically like a personality quiz
Okay.
and figuring out like who you are. And so, when I interviewed her and we were talking about it, it's like have everybody do their kind of death archetype, come to the dinner, and have that as like the lead in of, okay, you know, this is what my essentially personality is, and starting off with conversations. But I'm a sucker for anything like that. I love a personality quiz, but then it also has like 3 books at the end that you should read
Mm.
based on your personality. I'm like, anything that gives me more books to read, I'm in.
I love it. That's some
Well,
introvert energy right there.
yeah, that's the first question you ask too. What books are you reading?
I
When
feel like that's such a great my favorite I think my favorite thing about that is you know, kind of in the application process I say, you know, it's the conversation is going to be based off of one question, and is, you know, what do you think happens when we die? But I do ask like 3 questions leading up to that, so it's ultimately like I want to know why you even wanted to do this. I want to have an idea of like roughly where you're calling from, and then I ask your favorite book and why. And that one always catches people so off guard. And there's so many people who are like, this is so much harder. I mean, there's times where I cut out like 3 or 4 minutes of audio, or like someone just like, favorite book, favorite book. So that ends up being the hardest question. But I love it as like a surprise question because I feel like it says so much about who you are as a person, and not being able to prep and be like, oh, well, my favorite book is Pride and Prejudice, or, like just because I want to sound a certain way or whatever. Like, I feel like it's
what?
disarming to just like come in with it. And then you like, I mean, one of the people said like had a kid's book, which I loved. And I have like a book list that I'm curating every time I do a new call. I just add more books to that. And it is becoming a very wild, I mean, there's definitely a lot of death books, but it is definitely becoming a very hodgepodgey book list that I absolutely love.
Love it.
Yeah, there was a I don't know, you and I talked about many lives, many masters, about
Hmm.
not past life regressions, which is so interesting to me too. Uh,
Yeah.
how are we in community in our past lives also? Like that comes with us to the next life. This is a stretch, but before money existed, we had to be hunters and gatherers, and we had to we had our roles, our specific roles within the community, and we've gotten away from that a lot. But I think we're kind of coming back into it as time progresses. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'm really stoked that that you're hitting your anniversary tomorrow and that
I
you
know.
decided to do this. And I think you should do some of those dinners.
I really want to. That was something that I was like trying to make happen this summer, and then it was just as I added more things to the podcast. You know, now I'm doing video for it, which I absolutely freaking hate. Kind of getting back to our photography backgrounds. It was like that was one thing that they started forcing on us is like, oh yeah, you need to be able to do video and
Yeah.
photography. And I was like, no.
Mhm.
So I started learning and my thing was this is that how ridiculous it sounds is I don't want to learn a new program. I don't want to learn new software. So then what did I do? I'm going to go learn CGI, which is another program.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
but I was like, if I can do it there, then I can get in Photoshop. But now I'm doing video for the podcast. And I was having this conversation with someone. I was on someone else's podcast last week and kind of talking about the fact that, like, because my passion's behind this and my purpose, you know, like I feel like I'm doing something that I love and I care about and I feel like it's doing good, I'm willing to do the video.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily feel the same. Like photography was a means to make money. I never felt like an artist. I felt, you know, I basically stumbled into becoming a commercial photographer and just ran with it. But yeah, so it was something, these dinners are something I wanted to do over the summer, but then I added in video and then I'm super excited about this. I think that I'm kind of bringing something in that kind of taps into my meditation practice, but starting this Saturday, I'm going to start doing kind of death contemplations. So there'll be like little 5 to 10 minute bonus episodes that'll just be like me kind of talking. I don't want to say that it's a meditation because I feel like meditation has this like, and I don't even think it's a stigma, but I think there's, if you mention meditation to someone, I feel like 9 out of 10 times it's, well, I can't stop thinking. My brain's always going. It's like,
Hmm.
well, yeah, but I'm I can't tell you how many times I did this meditation thing over the weekend and the whole like 6 hours of meditation. And I felt like every probably 15 seconds for 6 hours, it
Yeah.
was like, nope, Zach, come back, come back.
Yep.
Don't think about that. And then I was like, oh yeah, well, yeah, you know, my back really hurts right now. Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
does. And it's like, nope, 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 come back. So I'm trying not to call them meditations, but just like little kind of reflections to kind of sit with kind of your mortality and stuff. So that kicks off this weekend. And then hopefully maybe I can get a dinner in before the end of the year. But I don't know, party planning. I know it's not necessarily a party, but like kind of party planning, stuff like that is not necessarily my favorite thing. So
It is
maybe I'll have
hard.
to find a friend.
I was just gonna suggest get a buddy because I don't know what your demographics are around there, but if you have farms or like farm communities or nonprofits that do farm to table event type dinners, that's who we found. And
That's cool.
they know what they're doing. I don't have to worry about any of the food stuff. It's going to be
Yeah.
magical and great. We just have to worry about how are we going to facilitate and make the experience that isn't about the food really good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is my tip to you. Safety in
That's,
numbers.
that's good
Don't
to
go
know.
boom.
Adam,
Yeah.
are
I'll have to figure that.
you charging? Is there just like a entry fee for people to come, and that just like offsets the cost of the? Of,
Yes. So the costs are, of course, the food, but the staff that will be there to serve the food and cook the food and all that good stuff. So it's going to be about a $45 ticket price point for we're calling it elevated rustic. So there'll be kind of like a salad, appetizer, main, and then a dessert. And then we are also going to be doing some fundraising as part of the efforts. So we're trying to make sure that people that can't afford a $45 ticket would still be able to have access, could still come in. If it's successful, we want to do this once a month starting in January. So the holiday
Nice.
time, we're going to let the holidays roll, but pick this up next year. And then we're hoping to kind of bank a lot of charitable donations and like buy one ticket for you, buy a ticket for a stranger type thing
Yeah.
to see if we can get more people in 2026.
I
Yeah,
guarantee.
Kelly and I'll come crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a guest room and an air mattress.
I hear you have cute dogs as well, so we will be happy to come.
I
Um.
have cats that hate dogs, but I
Oh,
like the kids.
wait. I feel like I saw a dog in one of your photos or something. Maybe I made
My
that.
my one cat is like 16 pounds, so it might have been
Okay.
for a dog.
You have
a dog,
a
a
cat.
dog-looking cat.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I like cats too. So, um, but yeah, I guarantee you, you're gonna have people who are more than happy to pay for other people to come. Like
yeah,
company that you're gonna have around you, it's definitely gonna be like that. So that's very
Yep.
yeah. I don't know, Zach. You got any last remarks, or want to plug yourself? And you plug the other person.
Oh God, I'm terrible at plugging myself. Even today, as I was like, I put out today was essentially I do episodes on Wednesday, so I was like, today's the 1 year anniversary. So I put that out on Instagram, and then posted the story, all the dumb stuff that we have to do with social media. And then I was like, all right, I'll like write a little something. So, like, and I even wrote this where I was like, normally I would like downplay this or like make fun of myself in this moment because I am not great at like promoting myself, but I am very proud of what I've created over the past year.
Yeah,
Um,
should be.
and I
True.
mean, in some ways, 2 years and almost 3 years, whatever it is, I am proud of it. I'm glad that I'm giving space to people. This was in some ways selfishly, about me trying to figure out how to work through my problems. But I do tell people that if I was just doing this for me, I would be doing it in a much different way. I would not be doing video. I would not be worrying about recording or like all this other stuff. Like I am trying to bring these people to others that and hope that it helps people. Um, and yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I said this in the episode today. Today's episode is basically just me talking about kind of thanking some people and like what I learned. And I think the biggest thing that I learned in this kind of first year of chatting with others is I don't know how less afraid I am of death. I probably marginally. Um, I definitely am probably more confused about death than I was a year ago and what I think happens. But I am way less afraid of living life
Mm.
Good.
by contemplating death, by thinking about death, because in doing that, you realize that this is your one chance at this lifetime. Well, maybe there are more lifetimes that we get to live. Who knows? But like, this is what we get, and you don't know how long it's going to last. Um, Not to be incredibly morbid, but you could live to be 100 or you could die in a car crash. And I say this all the time, and I think it freaks people out, but I'm like, there is no guarantees that I will ever see the two of you ever again. I might walk out my door and get hit by a car. It could happen. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and so there is an urgency that it's created. And I think it's allowed me to get over some of my perfectionism.
Mm.
It's allowed me to put down some anxiety. Meditation has definitely allowed me to put down a lot of my anxiety. But just realizing that this is my opportunity, and I might as well enjoy it and do the things that I want to do, and not be afraid of getting turned down or someone saying that they don't like what I'm doing or whatever it is. But it definitely has allowed, and it's not like I was like sitting in like my room and like not doing anything, but it's just allowed me to be more free and not be afraid to get rejected or anything like that. And I think that is the um, huge benefit of thinking about your death and contemplating it. And there's a lot of gratitude too.
Yeah.
Um, it I think I took a class last weekend with this amazing. We were talking about her. She's the AI scientist, but
Oh,
then also the meditation instructor, and she did a class on death contemplation. And when we broke for lunch in the middle of the day, I did it remotely. When we broke at the middle of the day, for lunch, she was like, I want you to go into this lunch with the intention that this is the last time you're going to eat lunch.
Oh, good.
And I ended up skipping lunch. I was like, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm not super hungry. And so I went for a walk and, didn't listen to any music, but just was like, I'm just going to go for a walk and really think as if this is my last walk. And I noticed a whole hell of a lot more with that intention in my brain. It was like, oh yeah, like I noticed the sun more and like the breeze and the like. It sounds so corny and so cheesy, but it's like I noticed and appreciated so much more on that walk. And it's a walk that I do all the time. Walk down a mile to the park, walk around the park a couple times, come back. And so I think it's those things, an immense amount of gratitude and just an appreciation for life. I think those are the huge benefits of not avoiding this topic. I'm sorry, I'm rambling now, but there's a person who commented on essentially these Saturday morning contemplations are coming out of these Thursday posts that I put out that have been very popular. And I think the title of this one, and they're all death contemplations essentially. And I think this one was like your death is inevitable. And I don't even remember, the full thread of it, but this person comments and, says something like, I think about death a lot and, I came across this and was really hoping for some answers. And now I'm just leaving this thinking, thinking about death again. And I was like, and I respond to him like, hey, I wish there was something that I could say that made this go away. If there was, I wouldn't be doing this project. I'd be saying it to myself all the time. But it's going to happen. And the one thing that I've realized that has helped more than anything else is kind of like we were talking about, turning towards it and saying, all right, let me look at this. Let me see it. Let me figure it out. And at worst, if my fear of death does not ever change, there are these other benefits that are happening. And so it's like, at worst, that's a win. And I'll take that.
And Zach, I appreciate that you're pointing out that it started very selfishly, but I think that's where it should start for everyone. I was a big fan of encouraging, like, what's your nut to crack? Because I guarantee you other people have a very similar nut to you. And if you can blaze the trail, if you can share your experience and just be willing to be messy and be visible, that's a huge community service. So
Totally.
I love that, you took something that was real. And that's why I think it's coming off as so authentic and so genuine and so effective, because it's real for you. And if we're not doing stuff that's real for us, what are we doing with our lives?
Totally.
I'm so glad you're getting those benefits.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're always going to find someone or someone's going to find you and they're going to resonate with something that you said.
Yeah.
And it's the weirdest thing that you expected, but someone's going to get something out of it. And that's to bring it back around to community again. That's the root.
Totally.
Finding. So, yeah. Wow. Okay. An hour.
Great conversation. I know.
I feel like I talked way too much.
No,
you're the guest. That's what you're supposed to do.
It just feels weird now, like being on the podcast last week and this. I'm like,
no,
it's a lot weirder when you're getting asked the questions than being the one who asks. So new experience.
Flip the script sometimes.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, this has been wonderful. We'll be able to share the assets after it uploads itself. So people
when it does its magic.
Ever. Yeah. Good to see you all.
Thanks for taking the
you too. Thank you.
Thank you.